Friday Night Baseball heads down to Georgia. Some of the game's brightest stars look for a show to steal. For the first time since August 2017, the Mariners take a trip to the southeast corner of the state as Atlanta hosts a pair of playoff hopefuls.
The dream lives! They're going to the playoffs! The drought is over!
After a postseason absence of over 2 decades, the Mariners finally broke the October barrier last year. Despite falling to the eventual world champion Astros, the future is bright in the Emerald City as there's a new kid on the block. Reigning American League Rookie of the Year Julio Rodriguez inked a contract that keeps him as Seattle's center fielder for a long time. J-Rod now attempts to lead his club to their first ever Fall Classic, all while filling the big shoes of a certain Hall of Fame predecessor.
And the Phillies are headed to the National League Championship Series as they have taken out the world champs.
Although their bid for another World Series title fell short, there is a lot to be excited about if you're an Atlanta Braves fan. With team-friendly deals everywhere comprising their young core, this championship window is far from closed. Behind Venezuelan superstar Ronald Acuna Jr. and a seemingly endless supply of swag, the Braves are off to another solid start in 2023, vying for their 6th straight NL East crown. The youth is served as the kids are most definitely ready to play. Next on Apple TV+. One of baseball's newest ballparks, Truist Park in Atlanta. Tonight, Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus has the Atlanta Braves hosting the Seattle Mariners. Tonight, we'll see 2 of the game's greatest young stars, Ronald Acuna Jr. already putting together an MVP-worth season, Julio Rodriguez coming off his AL Rookie of the Year campaign a year ago. Alongside Dontrelle Willis, I'm Wayne Randazzo, and D-Train. Aside from the 2 superstars we're going to see tonight, these 2 teams both in the playoffs last year and both hoping to go back this year.
Well, the A's is critical. They need their offense to step up, especially in big situations. And for the Braves, the rotation needs to continue to try to stay healthy until the arms get back.
We'll see if they can do that. Meanwhile, these 2 young superstars, if you're talking about building rosters, well, Ronald Acuna Jr. and Julio Rodriguez doesn't get much easier to build around.
Well, these guys are the faces of their franchise, and they're really the faces of the game of baseball. And the reason is they can do everything and anything on the baseball field, especially Ronald Acuna Jr. Listen, he's off to a blazing start. He's my front runner for the National League MVP, and he can square up a baseball like a 4-hole hitter, getting his foot down, especially with the StatCast. And listen, I'd be angry if I give him a home run that far, but it's not just him being able to hit the fastball. He can cover multiple pitches. The breaking ball down in the zone, stands up there, bat flip on 10 right there, Wayne, and I love to see it. And again, the StatCast 454 feet. That's getting your foot down with the best of them, and you got to do the little Euro step when you hit a ball that far. But I just love his presence in the box. I love that he's aggressive, and he's finally healthy, Wayne. So when he's able to backspin the ball like this, it's really, really fun to watch, and it gives the Braves faithful a boost.
We see StatCast powered by Google Cloud. These are the home runs that he has hit in 4 straight games. He has a chance to homer for a 5th consecutive game, which would tie an Atlanta Braves franchise record and also tie his career high. He's the last Brave to do it. Of course he is.
Well, he has so much lineup protection. You're forced to pitch to him, and I think he understands that, and he's aggressive, and that's why he's putting down the numbers that he's putting down.
Now, Ronald Acuna Jr. continuing to be a superstar in this game, and the home runs that he hits, well, they tend to go a long way. 450 feet plus He's hit more than anybody this year, and dating back to his major league debut, has tied for the most in the big leagues. So Ronald Acuna Jr. getting it done for the Atlanta Braves, and the Mariners hoping that Julio Rodriguez continues to develop into the type of player that Acuna is.
Well, listen, he's not off to the start that he wants to, hitting 211, especially with only 7 home runs, but he's a guy that's a 5-tool player, and he can do everything, and he's very impactful. As you can see, like Acuna Jr. has that bat flip, has the power, and can cover not only the fastball, but the breaking ball as well. They need him to get going, and you've seen the power, line-to-line power. That's my favorite part of his game. It doesn't matter where the pitch is located, he can muscle that ball out of there. Also, he can run with the best of them. I love that he steals. I love that he's aggressive. To me, he's a 40-40 guy, Wayne, especially if he stays healthy and he gets rhythm, and especially on the field and off the field. But I just love that he's the face of this team, and this is a guy that's going to be in the Seattle Mariners uniform for a very long time. And as a pitcher, I love that his route running is elite. Especially for me, I'm going to buy him a lot of steak dinners, Wayne, if he's going to get the baseball like that. For me, he can go in that big old outfield. You need somebody with that type of range to be able to go there. And again, the swagger's all there. They got the change, they got the smile. Listen, they're going to do a lot of damage and sell a lot of jerseys, not only for their play, but I love that they're marketable and they love being in the big moment. That's why they're the faces of the game.
Is that a 6th tool for a 5-tool player? These guys had the 6th tool as well. Ken Griffey Jr., he had swagger. Ichiro, those guys are Hall of Famers. And Julio Rodriguez, well, 1 year in, he's certainly starting a Hall of Fame trajectory.
I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. It's all about health as well for him, but his strength, his size. I noticed him when I saw him on the field. I said, man, that guy's not a petit filet. He's a big guy. So if he stays strong and stays healthy, he's going to put up numbers.
Well, the Mariners have one superstar outfielder they've relied on in Julio Rodriguez, but another budding one as well. Jarred Kelenic is putting together a great start to the season, a breakout party, if you will. Well, our birthday girl, Heidi Watney, all about a party here tonight.
Thanks, Wayne. Yeah, it is a party all weekend. But you know who's been having a party all season long? Jarred Kelenic. He is a new man for the Seattle Mariners after working really hard this season, both physically and mentally. We're going to start with the physical here. He went to LA for a week this offseason to work with his former hitting coach, Tim Laker, and Craig Wallenbrook, who's the hitting guru who revived JD Martinez's career, among others. Now, he told me for the first 5 days he did nothing but drills, tee work and flips. He said he took notes on every single thing they told him and how he felt about it. He told me on the 6th day he finally took batting practice and he knew right away his swing felt different. He's staying inside the baseball better and therefore able to cover the plate and make adjustments. And he said his swing has never felt better. Now, for the mental side of things, he said he's working on being more positive, about taking the positive out of everything in this game. He said in a game of so much failure, it can get you down and spiral out of control. He said even in that bat that doesn't go well, he's finding something positive to take from it, and having that positive mentality and spreading it to his teammates, he said, has really helped him as well. And hey, who couldn't use a better positive mindset in life? We're going to take a quick break here from Truist Park. We'll be back with a whip around the studio with LG and company right after this.
Welcome back to the Apple TV Plus Friday Night Baseball Studio Show. We are about 10 minutes away from first pitch out at Truist Park. Bryce Elder, the righty, getting warmed up and living up to his name, celebrating his 24th birthday today, making his 18th career start in the bigs. A lot of action around baseball here on this Friday night. Let's get you out to Cincinnati for the Yankees and the Reds.
That's launched to center field. Gone out the gate. He ties Adolis Garcia for the American League lead in big flies. That's his 7th in 7.
That's a 2-strike home run right there from Aaron Judge. 7 home runs in his past 7 games. If you're trying to go up to put him away, you better go way up and not miss right there, because he took him way out.
Picking up where he left off. I love this new balance schedule. Seeing the Yankees in Cincinnati, so much fun for those fans. Let's keep it in the NL Central. Pittsburgh hosting the D-backs.
There's a drive to center field by Ke'Bryan Hayes off the wall. Rebello going to wave home Santana. The throw to the plate going to be late. Ke'Bryan Hayes doubles over the head of the center fielder Fletcher. And it's 1-0. Back toward right center field. deep and gone. On a 3-1 pitch, Perdomo hits his fourth and ties the game at 1. Just the fourth allowed by Oviedo on the year.
Yeah, that's your 9-hole hitter, and that ball took off.
Geraldo Perdomo going deep from maybe the most beautiful backdrop in all of baseball at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Also, Ke'Bryan Hayes driving the baseball. That's something that manager Derek Shelton definitely wants to see. They got to get Ke'Bryan Hayes going there. We know what he can do defensively, but getting him the offense going is what they want to see.
Our other game also on Apple TV Plus. It's the O's and the Jays underway right now. Let's get you north of the border.
Himself back into a full count.
Ground ball to third, diving stop, Chapman to his left, and he'll throw across to retire Rutschman.
Wow. Flashing leather early, and Matt Chapman. I mean, a lot gets made of guys like Nolan Arenado and Manny Machado, but the defense of Matt Chapman, this guy's been an elite defender in the American League, multiple gold gloves, just so rangy.
I feel like we might have talked about that during the pregame show. Matt Chapman being able to show off the range there. Gold glove, multiple gold gloves in his back pocket. That was a nice play there. Still 0-0 there in the top of the first.
Yeah, man, I feel like you spoke it into fruition. We're getting closer to first pitch. Out in Atlanta should be a good one at Truist Park. We'll be back on the other side here on the Apple TV Plus Friday Night Baseball.
Doing now, boy, I'm running this. What the heck you doing now, boy, I'm writing hits. What the heck you doing now, boy, I'm running this.
Braves win it! And the Cal Raleigh show continues. And out of here! Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus, and tonight at Truist Park as we have the Braves and the Mariners. Atlanta division champion each of the last 5 years. Seattle finally broke their playoff drought in 2022, and both of these teams with October wishes again for 2023. You see that red flag in 2021, the Braves world champions then.
Yeah, this is a team that feels like they can get back to the World Series and win another title. They have the group to do it, the core group to do it, especially with Ronald Acuna Jr. at the top. But the loss of Max Fried concerns me, though, especially with the Atlanta Braves. Hopefully he gets back in the rotation. But the Seattle Mariners, listen, they're right around 500. I think offensively, Scott Service wants to see them, especially in big moments, be able to put the ball in play, especially with runners in scoring position. That's important for their offense.
In the AL West, an improved division with the Rangers in first place, the Angels above 500 right now. And in the National League East, well, right now Atlanta stands alone as the one team that is really playing well in that division. It was supposed to be the Mets. It was supposed to be the Phillies. Both of those teams have floundered a bit here in the early part of the year.
Well, when you look at this division right now, the Braves seem to be the only team that understands their identity, how they're going to win baseball games, and that's important. The Phillies are still sputtering along, still trying to find their pitching staff. The Mets offense just started getting going the last 2 days, and I know that's painful for you being the ex-Mets, but but you're looking at the injuries right now. That's starting to pile up because those are important pieces, like I mentioned, Max Fried and company. Hopefully they get some of those guys back for the long run, because it's not just about winning the division. For the Atlanta Braves, it's about winning the World Series or bust.
Yeah, Fried and Wright, they're going to be out for a while. You see the timetables that you think might be there for Fried and for Wright, but it's going to be a bit before Brian Snitker has the full allotment of his starting rotation. Maybe Mike Soroka comes back to help out here in the near future. Maybe not. We'll see as they slowly bring Soroka around. You see both teams are wearing hats for Armed Forces Day. It is Armed Forces Weekend around Major League Baseball. Armed Forces Day is tomorrow, established by President Truman in 1949. It's celebrated the third Saturday of May, so those caps are for Armed Forces Weekend.
around Major League Baseball as the Braves take the field behind Bryce Elder, who's gotten off to a pretty good start this year. Our starting lineups presented by MLB The Show 23. Seattle's lineup featuring reigning AL Rookie of the Year, Julio Rodriguez, the only rookie to be named to the All-Star game in 2022. Rodriguez currently with an MLB The Show 23 player rating of 82. And the Mariners lineup being supported as well by Jarred Kelenic, as we talked about, a good start to his year. Weird to see Teoscar Hernandez batting 7th for Seattle as he tries to work through some strikeout issues. But here's Bryce Elder, who has really stabilized things in the Atlanta rotation.
Yeah, we have the battle of the Bryces today, Wayne. And so Bryce Elder turning 24 years old. Listen, he's a guy that able to pitch to contact, is not afraid of that, trusts his movement. He gets ground balls 50% of the time, so he's definitely going to try to live low and live long. And he's found that new slider that moves down, moves backwards. I don't know how he's tunneling, as long as the hitter is able to miss it, and they've been missing it very often, and that's why he's got a 1.9 ERA thus far. But you can see the pitch arsenal. The sinker will play. The slider, he throws just as much as his fastball, so he'll throw it ahead in the count and behind in the count to get in the strike. But the four seam also has some mix just to keep this talented Seattle Mariners lineup honest.
StatCast powered by Google Cloud. We're right in the box with J.P. Crawford as he gets things going tonight to start this game between these two playoff hopefuls for this year, and both teams that made it last year. They played a crazy series against each other last September. The Mariners won a wild game against the Braves near the end of last season. Eugenio Suarez had that big home run against Atlanta. So could be a fun one tonight as J.P. Crawford looks at a strike, and we are underway at Truist Park.
Elder already getting that high sinker call. I wish I got those calls when I was pitching. I'd probably still be throwing.
It would be the dream, wouldn't it? Here's a little blooper to right center field and a base hit for Crawford. Almost got by Michael Harris, but he plays it back in, and Crawford finds his way on to start the ninth.
Yeah, jam, oh jam. You know, I can't stand those hitters, but whenever they're able to muscle, nice swing getting on top of that fastball, even though it's inner half, and he did enough just to be able to get down there and really just get this lineup going. I think Scott Service wants to see more out of this lineup. He believes that they have enough depth, and JP's a big part of that.
So a start for the Mariners, putting a man on base in Crawford, and here's Ty France. France is riding a 14-game hitting streak for Crawford. He's been on base safely now in 15 straight. So these two Mariners at the top of the order doing well so far, and in France's case, this hitting streak normally would be behind Julio Rodriguez, but now Rodriguez is behind France, batting in the 3-hole. We'll see Julio next after Ty France is at bat here.
Good pitch. Sinker down in the zone, and like I said earlier, he's going to definitely be able to live off that sinker and pitch to contact and just trust his talented defense, and be able to get ground balls. You're able to be more efficient and stay in the game longer.
Saw the numbers in the hitting streak for Ty France.
I think Ty France is the key for their offense. He's a guy that can barrel up the baseball, sprays the ball all over the diamond, and when he stays healthy, I know we talk a lot about Julio Rodriguez, and obviously he's a star, but you always need somebody that you can trust every single day to post.
France was able to do that last year despite the fact that he wasn't completely healthy. Had that collision at first base, didn't feel right in the second half. The numbers showed that. He was an all-star in the first half of last year and then tailed off a bit after that injury, but he stayed in there. He wanted to play every day, especially with a team that was trying to break that playoff drought. He hits it hard here, but right to the shortstop. Arcia gets it to second for one, and Albies to first for a double play.
See what I mean? To be able to get Ty France, one of the better hitters in baseball, especially when he's on, to get that ground ball, that's going to be Elder's game, and that's why he's important in his rotation, especially all the injuries. And I love that hard hit ball. You want the hitters to get frustrated even though they squirt up that baseball. It's like, yeah, I want you to be able to make a right turn instead of a left turn.
Well, Bryce Elder will certainly get his ground balls. 57% ground ball rate to start the year. That's 4th highest in the major leagues entering tonight. And the more ground balls he gets, the more effective he'll be. Very unlike the other Bryce that we'll see tonight, just a little bit Bryce Miller, as Elder starts off Julio Rodriguez with strike one. They are hesitant to call it a sophomore slump for Julio Rodriguez. You won a Rookie of the Year. What is that second season like?
Well, you put a lot of onus and pressure on yourself to be able to repeat the numbers that you put out there, and he's the focal point of the offense, so that might be a mixture of that. But Scott Service talked about how his swing sometimes gets big, as you saw right there. So I think you're going to need him to cut down his swing and also hit the ball the other way.
Elder strikes him out, works a scoreless top of the first. Ronald Acuna Jr. leads things off for the Atlanta Braves tonight against Seattle starter Bryce Miller, the other half of our Battle of the Bryces.
Yeah, Bryce Miller loves his fastball at the top of the zone, anywhere from 94 to 97 miles an hour. The nasty slider. 3-0 already.
3-0 with a 0.47 ERA. First pitch is a high fastball to Acuna. Miller has been nearly unhittable to start his major league career, but here's a guy who could solve anybody. Acuna has been out of this world to begin the season. He's homered in 4 straight games. He's batting .345 as he looks at a strike from Miller.
This is a matchup I'm very eager to see because Miller loves his fastball and will not go from it, and he has that Texas bravado and swagger saying no one has a fastball like mine. But Acuna Jr. is a bad man and can get on top of it.
He lines this one to right center field. That's a base hit. It rolls up the alley, and it goes to the wall. Extra bases for Acuna. He touches up at second and slams on the brakes there.
Hard to pitch around a guy that's in the leadoff spot. And he seems to be able to do damage, and he really just gets them going. Stays on that slider, doesn't have to try to do too much, and hits the ball the other way. That's how you know a guy's locked in, when they're allowing the baseball to travel deep and they still be able to strong and muscle that ball the other way. Fun to watch.
So the leadoff man on for the Braves in scoring position, which hasn't necessarily led to success for Atlanta's offense this year. Here's Matt Olson as he looks at strike one from Bryce Miller. The Braves are hitting just .229 as a team with runners in scoring position. Olson himself just .156, very unusual. A very high caliber offensive weapon.
But even in his struggles, Wayne, you still have to be careful of him because he definitely can play pepper off that chop house with the best of them, especially if you make a mistake in or half. He's a guy that wants to get his arms extended, and I've seen it plenty of times in Oakland, California, him squaring up the baseball.
Squares this one up and rocks it toward the right field wall. It will bring home Acuna for the game's first run. It's back-to-back doubles and a 1-0 lead for the home team.
The 1-2 punch are factoring earlier, especially when you have stars at the top of the lineup. Miller makes a mistake over the heart of the plate, and actually he's lucky he didn't put that ball in the seats with the people, but only just getting on top of that and squaring it up. And when he's locked in with Acuna Jr., they're going to score a ton of first-inning runs.
That is something they've done well this year. Here's a grounder the other way from Sean Murphy, rather, that will take Ty France to the bag at first. Now Austin Riley will bat with Olson at third, and one away in the first. Braves starting lineup presented by MLB The Show 23. It's Ronald Acuna Jr. has homered in 4 straight at the top, followed by the rest of a very high-powered offense. Acuna currently with an MLB The Show 23 player rating of 89. Marcell Ozuna batting 7th. He's been red hot lately. Here is Riley in the cleanup spot. Hacking away early at Bryce Miller, who is facing adversity for maybe the first time in a major league uniform.
Oh, the game plan is simple. Do not allow him to settle in. And as a young pitcher and going through that, when they know you're throwing strikes with all your pitches, they're not going to allow you to be able to get ahead in the count. So they're going to be attacking and being aggressive.
Mariners have their infield about halfway in with Olson at third. Riley can't catch up to 97.
That ain't 97, that's 97.
My mistake.
That ball is thrown with conviction. We'll see how he handles adversity. I think this is be good for him, especially the way he's been flying high to go up against one of the better lineups in all of baseball and see if he can navigate it.
Miller's really been dominant, allowed 1 run, 2 hits with 10 strikeouts in his major league debut. That was against Oakland, took a perfect game into the 6th inning. In his 2 starts after that, he didn't give up a run against the Astros or the Tigers. He's allowed 1 here early, plus a man on third. And Riley lines it to Caballero, the second baseman, with a leaping catch.
Get up, get on up. That ball was hot off the barrel, man. Jose being able to time that jump perfectly. That's very difficult for infielders, especially when that ball is struck that hard to make that decision. Really big play. Ooh, he got up there.
And with the infield in, too. Jose Caballero makes a tremendous catch. It's now 2 outs and Olson still at third. Here's Eddie Rosario.
Miller's still not out the woods yet. Rosario got a chance to meet him. And this Braves lineup just continues to keep coming after you. The lineup depth, they have 7, 8 guys that can beat you.
One ball, 1 strike on Rosario, who had that tremendous postseason for the Braves in 2021 after he was acquired in a deadline deal. Atlanta made so many deals in late 2021 in July that changed their whole season. Braves were stumbling along until the month of August that year. Those deadline deals highlighted by Rosario. Jorge Soler came over and had some big hits in the postseason, especially in the World Series. Rosario with a fly ball right field, hit pretty well. Back for it is Hernandez. Out near the wall, he leaps up, he makes the catch. 2 leaping grabs by the Seattle defense in the bottom of the first. It was Jose Caballero robbing Austin Riley of a base hit, and then Teoscar Hernandez all the way up against the fence in right field, taking extra bases away from Eddie Rosario. It's 1-0 Atlanta after 1. Our odds tonight courtesy of BetMGM. The over-under strikeout totals for the 2 Bryces, Miller for the Mariners and Elder already has a strikeout for the Atlanta Braves. Starts off Jarred Kelenic with a strike over the outside corner. Miller got hit hard in the first inning, but he was fortunate thanks to his defense to only give up 1 run.
Yeah, 8 pressure pitches after back-to-back doubles, so he felt like the game was on the line in the first inning, and he really stepped up and relied on his defense. And sometimes you need that, especially in a hostile environment like Atlanta. You need a little help to settle yourself in first.
Soft bouncer off the bat of Kelenic. Glove flip from Olson to the pitcher Elder covering.
Yeah, Ole got a lot of gold sprinkled over there. Probably one of the best defensive first basemen in his era as far as his sureness, calm. And a lot of people haven't seen the Oakland A's play for a long time, and I get that, but I have a lot of Atlanta Braves fans that were like, how good is Olson? How good is Sean Murphy? I said, you guys are going to be very pleased with them, and they are so far.
Matt Olson essentially replacing Freddie Freeman. Olson was a 2-time Gold Glove winner with the Oakland A's, 2018 and 19. And he's going to be with Atlanta for the long haul. He's a local kid. A lot of these Braves are. They do so much about bringing players into Georgia. From Georgia, guys like Olson, Harris, we can go on and on. Dansby Swanson when he was here. Jason Hayward from Georgia.
Every time I played as a youngster, East Cobb, Little League, Babe Ruth, it did not matter. You knew it was going to be some talent and a good pitch by Elder. This is what I love about seeing from young pitchers. The way they attack, they understand how their ball plays to the hitter. What that means is how the hitter reacts to it, whether the sinker or the changeup or the slider. And also the mound presence is everything. You got to force it that you believe that you're a big leaguer, and that's just illegal in 38 states, Wayne. That is dirty with that changeup because the sinker tunnels out of that, so the hitter doesn't have the ability to be able to guess the velocity even if they guess the pitch right.
Now, both of these starting pitchers are named Bryce. We see Cal Raleigh stand in. Both are from Texas, but they could not pitch more differently.
I think I don't know what part of Texas Elder's from because, I mean, he throws sinkers and he pitches to contact. Usually arms that come out of Texas, they're all about blazing fastballs and, you know, big breaking balls. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Elder is from an area near Dallas, whereas Miller is from an area near San Antonio.
I love Texas. But whatever you can do to get guys out, that's critical.
Raleigh loops one to right field, and he has a base hit. The Mariners get a 2-out single here in the top of the second from Cal Raleigh, and that gives Teoscar Hernandez a chance.
Service has raved about Raleigh. This is leadership behind the plate, and obviously the offensive capabilities. And he's come up with some big hits, especially home runs. And he's a guy in the lineup where if you make a mistake, he can put one in the cheap seats, baby. Well, I don't want to say cheap seats because there's no such thing as cheap seats anymore. Let me clarify that.
Well, Teoscar Hernandez can touch any seat too. He's a guy with a lot of power as he fouls one off. You know, Raleigh against the Red Sox hit home runs from both sides of the plate. He became the first catcher in Fenway Park history to have a home run from each side of the plate.
Sure, the Red Sox faithful weren't very happy about that stat. But he definitely has the talent to do that. And so this is another guy that the M's want to see get going is Teoscar Hernandez, because he has 30 home run power. He's athletic, as you just saw from the last play he made in the outfield. But I think he's an important piece, especially in the bottom of that lineup, to really just get settled in. He's starting to turn around right now.
Traded from the Blue Jays in the offseason for Eric Swanson, a reliever who did well for the Mariners, but we know that's a strength for Seattle. Their bullpen, they wanted to bolster their offense, so they brought in Teoscar Hernandez from the team that they knocked out of the postseason last year, the Toronto Blue Jays. There's that changeup again, and Hernandez strikes out to end the top of the second. 3 strikeouts in the first 2 innings for Bryce Elder. TV Plus is sponsored in part by DQ, the official treat of MLB. Happy tastes good.
Speaking of tasting good, how about that meal we had downstairs, Wayne? I don't mean to tell on ourselves, but that Delta Club, my goodness, Wayne. Man.
You tried lamb for the first time in your life. I still don't believe it.
It was an experience I will never forget. And they were proud to give me that lamb. I mean, wow, that was delicious.
You took us to a new level of celebrity tonight. Ozzie Albies leads off here in the bottom of the second. I mean, both teams just were all about the D train tonight.
Yeah, they showed me a lot of love. A lot of guys on the coaching staff hit home runs off me, so they love to remind me of that. But always a good time to come in Atlanta. It's one of my favorite cities, and had a lot of really, really good rivalry against Chipper Jones. Good to see him again in the locker room today, and really, really fun battles in the ATL. So as an opponent, I'm glad I'm getting some love down here, because I always love the city of Atlanta and obviously the Atlanta Braves.
3-0 green light for Ozzie Albies as he fouls one off. 3 balls and a strike now on Albies. Chipper Jones in uniform before the game out there near batting practice today. Here's his number 10. One of the many retired numbers in Braves history, and it is a rich history of Braves baseball, especially here in Atlanta. As Albies fouls one off. Took a while for them to get to Atlanta, and there's Chipper with a front row seat now.
This is one of the really, obviously, Hall of Fame talent, but just really one of the good guys of baseball. And even as an opponent, just love playing against him. And love playing against the Braves because they bring the best out of you. You know what I mean? You see this environment. They always, post a really talented team. And, he's part of that group. The Smoltz, the Glavins, the Maddox. They always felt like they were royalty. And we earned their respect. And that was everything. So I can tell you this much, being a life Marlin, we never thought about winning the division because of those guys. It was all about the wild card.
Albies sends one to right, hit well. Hernandez backing up, makes the catch on this one. And the Braves have not been fooled early on here against Bryce Miller. He has retired 4 straight, though. And for more on Miller, here's Heidi Watney.
Yeah, Bryce Miller making just his 4th major league start. He has a chance to be a frontline starter with his elite fastball opponents. Coming into this game, just 4 for 43. That's 093 with 1 extra base hit against that heater this year. And he didn't even start pitching until his senior year of high school. In college, he pitched out of the bullpen until his senior year of college. He became a starter, drafted in the 4th round just 2 years ago, and here he is doing things only Felix Hernandez has done as a Mariners rookie, which is owning an ERA under 1 over his first 3 major league starts. His coaches say he's a sponge for information. He's embraced the analytics. That makes him even more dangerous, guys.
Marcell Ozuna fouls one off. Miller even speaks analytically. He talks in tech. He talks in data. Talks a lot about his vertical movement on his pitches and what he has to do to get a better breaking ball. He discusses axis and gyro spin and all those kind of technical terms you don't often hear.
Well, that's why he talks.
Call to Ozuna. I thought it was a ball at first, and so did Marcell Ozuna. He has a word with Edwin Jimenez, the home plate umpire. So Ozuna strikes out, and that's the first one tonight for Miller.
Yeah, I thought that was favorable for Miller, but he's been able to throw strikes, and I love that the new age pitcher, they're in tune with their mechanics, how their body moves, the metrics, spin rate. But also, it's a combination of going out there and just learning how to compete. And a lot of these young pitchers, they don't have a lot of innings in the minor leagues, so they're learning how to be their best at the highest level, which is very difficult. So far, so good for Miller. I know he's had some hard contact, but usually as a pitcher, you get kind of rattled, you try to nibble. He has not done that thus far.
2 out, nobody on, and Orlando Arcia, the batter. There's a strike at the top of the zone. Miller told Corey Brock of The Athletic that if the axis is greater than 1230, he starts to lose vert, which means vertical movement. This is the kind of way he talks about pitching.
I didn't realize they spoke like that in Texas pitching. No, that's impressive. That's impressive. And so he'll go back, and there's so many numbers. That's why we love the StatCast of seeing guys hit the ball that far and run and catch probability and what have you. It's fun because it narrates a story, but it's not everything.
Suarez all the way line to line with the throw to retire Arcia. Good play by Eugenio Suarez, showing off his arm to end the bottom of the second. Suarez has been a good defender, got onto the outfield grass, read the commissioner's signature, and fired a strike. It's a 1-2-3, bottom of the second for Seattle. Tomorrow it's MLS Match Day 14 on MLS Season Pass. For the Seattle fans, the Sounders are on the road in Vancouver. For the Braves fans, Atlanta United on the road in Chicago. It's our kind of town. Catch it all tomorrow beginning at 6:55 p.m. Eastern exclusively on the Apple TV app. So where San Diego's getting a new team, and Manny Machado is a minority owner. My life is good in Southern California.
Listen, he asked me for a few dollars. I said, I don't know if I have that. But he definitely does.
Manny took his bank account with him to the injured list, from what I understand. So the Padres don't need that, as San Diego has had a whole lot of trouble hitting to start the year, surprisingly. So one-time Padre prospect Taylor Trammell at the plate for the Mariners. Trammell is trying to find his swing at the major league level, a guy who's certainly had a lot of promise over the years and trying to fulfill that potential. And it takes strike 3 called from Bryce Elder, and Elder's had it working here early. That's 4 strikeouts against the last 6 batters that he's faced. 1 away, Caballero with bat. Here's Heidi with more on Bryce Elder.
Yes, all the Bryces. Well, like Bryce Miller, Bryce Elder getting an opportunity because of injury, and he's making the most of it. But while name and opportunity are the same, their pitching style couldn't be more different for the Bryces. Miller with the elite fastball. Elder has unusual spin. As you can see here, his pitches move differently than expected with the spin and velocity that he throws it with. It's a phenomenon called seam-shifted wake. The seams of the ball make it act differently than the laws of physics would suggest. So, Dontrell, I want to know your thoughts on seam-shifted wake and how he's able to manipulate the ball the way he does.
Listen, I want everybody to know something. I'm a plain turkey sandwich pitcher. Yeah. You know what I mean? 1-3 wiggle shake first. That means fastball, slider, and then the changeup. You know what I mean? These kids are coming in, and credit to them. They're more in tune with their body. They're more in tune with their throw, their elbow, everything. It's really impressive. I mean, I can barely turn on my iPad, and I work for Apple. I mean, and I love my iPad. That's but right. I'm just letting you know, like, that's where sports and athletics has evolved to, not only just in baseball, but just in sports in general. Whatever you can do to find yourself, whether it's movement prep or just pitch mix or pitch shape, to give yourself an edge, hey, so be it. I'm all for it. But just don't lose the sight of just going out there and being competitive. But, I mean, movement like
that. Look at that. Now he can do that, too. A behind-the-back catch to retire J.P. Crawford.
They just showing out. They showing out. I love it.
Here's your seam shifted wake, and I'll raise you behind the back play.
Yeah, we really talk about a seam shift right there, the way he moved out of the way.
Michael Harris, the second, leads off the bottom of the third for the Atlanta Braves against Bryce Miller. And it's Acuna and Olsen back to the familiar top of the order for Atlanta. Miller's retired 6 straight since the back-to-back doubles to start the game. Got some help from the defense too. Harris's defense has been pretty good, but his offense has slumped. Talked a lot about Julio Rodriguez as a reigning Rookie of the Year. Well, Harris is too. He was the National League Rookie of the Year last season.
I think it's a league adjustment. I think they see some holes in the swing, and again, you put a ton of pressure on yourself when you win that award and you see it in your house, and it's like, you know, now I got to be able to put up those numbers, but you just want to go out there and just play and let the game come to you.
It's this one toward the left field line. Kelenic, a long run in foul territory, makes the running catch. We've seen some good defense so far tonight.
Athleticism is key. When you have 2 talented pitchers going toe-to-toe, you need some help. It's a lot of athleticism around this diamond on both sides of it, and I think that's going to be the key for both ball clubs, to be able to play clean baseball. And if you have outs out there in the field, be able to get them.
See our Apple Music as Ronald Acuna Jr. stands in. Did you say something about athleticism? Not sure who has more of it in this game than Acuna does. He has hit 11 homers this year. He has stolen 18 bases. Right now he's on pace for a 40 homer, 60 steal season. That's never been done before.
You know what, though? I don't mind the pitch, and I don't mind the stare down. I like that cat and mouse in the game, and you need to do that sometimes, though, to make a hitter conscious, especially a guy that's locked in. You don't want to miss anything out over the plate because you know the damage you can do.
Well, there's a fastball right down the middle to get ahead of Acuna. It's something Scott Servais told us before the game about Miller, that he's not afraid to do that as a young pitcher. This is his 4th major league start.
Well, that is Texas. Guys that come out of Texas, they want to compete with their fastball, and they don't mind. And it reminds me a lot like Josh Beckett, you know, young Josh Beckett, a young Kerry Wood, if you will, where they have enough talent and they have the firepower to back it up. But so does Acuna Jr. And you make a mistake over the heart of the plate, especially the way he's locked in right now, you might not get that baseball back.
Miller is yet to give up a home run at the major league level. He's barely given up any hits at all, allowing 9 in his first 21 innings, including the 2 tonight. Missed the inside corner there, and it's 2 balls 2 strikes on Acuna, who is trying to homer in a 5th straight game, would tie a Braves record that he has already tied in the past. If he can do that tonight, he had home runs in 5 straight games in 2018. Bounces this one to third. Eugenio Suarez throws it over to retire Acuna. There's 2 up, 2 down. I'll bring up Olsen, RBI double to right, his first time scored Acuna. These 2 hitting 1 and 2 in the Braves order. This is Atlanta's 44th game, and Acuna's batted first. Olsen has batted second in all 44. Last team to start a season with a longer streak than that was the 2010 Seattle Mariners. They had Ichiro and Sean Figgins batting 1-2 in 56 straight games to start that year.
Little different game plan, ideal, you know. I mean, especially no disrespect to Ichiro and Sean Figgins, who I love both of those guys, love playing against them. But those guys are meant to set the table and cause havoc and really set up the big boppers in the lineup. But these guys are the big boppers at the top of the lineup.
Hard hit grounder and knocked down by Ty France at first. Gets it over to Miller covering to retire Olsen. So Bryce Miller has settled in. He's retired 9 straight. It's 1-0 Braves after 3.
It's time have your stage manager interview with Brian Snitker. Your pitcher, Bryce Elder, looking good for you tonight. What are you seeing from him?
Just what he's been doing. I mean, hitting with the sinker. He throws some really good breaking balls and been very efficient. So he just kind of way he's been pitching here all year.
Your 1-2 got you guys on the board early. How nice to see that from Matt Olson after the way he's been going.
Not really good. I mean, I know he's, like we talked earlier, he's working really hard, so it was nice to see him get something for all of his effort.
Thanks, Snit.
Okay, thank you, Heidi.
Brian Snitker in his 47th season with the Atlanta Braves.
You know, it's truly remarkable to be with any organization that long, but he's earned that, and you first get to meet him and you realize why he's established that way. He's calm, he's collective, he trusts and supports his teammates and his players under him as well. So not surprising that they continue to be successful.
Not surprising to see Ty France hit the ball the other way. That one, though, right to Matt Olson. And there's one away in the top of the fourth, which brings up Julio Rodriguez.
Talked about that earlier in the game. Ty France has the ability to hit the ball to all fields, and that's why when he's locked in, he's going to hit over 300. Just hit it to the wrong guy.
Rodriguez struck out his first time, grounds to the shortstop here, and Bryce Elder is working through this awfully quickly. 36 pitches in 3 2/3 innings.
When you command the sinker that way and you pitch to contact, and again, we talked about earlier in the game, you have an athletic defense. The defense stays on their toes because they know they're going to get baseball in play. It's just a fun rhythm, and also the changeup tunneling out of that sinker, too much to cover.
That brings up Kelenic, who bounced out to the first baseman Olson his first time. Kelenic breaking out so far in the early part of this year. He's put a lot of work into his swing changes. Saw a couple of different hitting coaches in the offseason, including Craig Wallenbrock and Tim Laker, who used to be the Mariners hitting coach. So it's a new Jarred Kelenic, and after the struggles of the last few years, this is still a very young man with a lot of baseball to go.
Really tough to overcome having a situation where you go 42 at bats without being able to get a base hit, and you're the top prospect, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, you know, am I ready to be a big leaguer? Am I a 4A guy? That's a term we like to use, where it's like you're talented in AAA, but are you enough to get to the big leagues? And you know, credit to him to continue to work his tail off and make adjustments, and now he's factoring.
Rips this ball toward right center field. That's a base hit for Kelenic. Acuna grabs it in the alley and holds Jarred Kelenic to a 2-out single. It's the third hit for Seattle. Brings up Eugenio Suarez. So Kelenic, who was the number 6 overall pick in 2018, drafted by the Mets, part of that big trade to Seattle. And finally, he is getting to the point where he thought he would be, but he's only 23 years old, and that's really what you have to remember about Kelenic. Sometimes it just takes time anyway.
You know, and the game is different. I think the urgency to get these high-level prospects in the big leagues kind of puts pressure on the front office, because a lot of these pitchers only have 60 total innings pitched.
Kelenic running. The pitch is low. The throw to second is a great one from Sean Murphy. A bullet to retire Kelenic, caught stealing to end the top of the fourth.
Another talented Oakland A's being able to throw that baseball back there. Great pop. Throw was on time. Nice tag by Albies. Easy money.
It's time for another stage manager interview with Scott Servais. Scott, your pitcher tonight gave up a run early, but he's been great so far. What are you seeing from him?
Yeah, he's hanging in there. They came out really aggressive on his fastball, which we expected him to do, but made a nice adjustment. He's hanging in there. He's throwing the ball well.
Julio Rodriguez, your breakout superstar from last year, having a bit of a sophomore slump. What do you say to him?
Yeah, he's trying to get it going, you know, and we've seen glimpses of him starting to come out of it. He's got to keep swinging at the right pitches. That's really the key for Julio.
Did you know Jose Caballero could jump that high?
I'm glad he can. That was a heck of a play at a big moment in the game to keep the game right there. So Cappy's been doing a nice job for him.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, thank you.
Sean Murphy leads off the bottom of the fourth with a base hit after he threw Jarred Kelenic out, trying to steal to end the top of the inning. Now Austin Riley bats with Murphy at first. And I know Braves fans of a certain age don't mind rooting for a guy named Murphy.
I see what you did right there, Wayne. I like that. And this lineup definitely needs Austin Riley. And for the last couple of years, he's been a dark horse for the MVP. still trying to find his way. But once he does, it's going to be a dangerous lineup.
Lined out to Caballero in the first. That was the leaping catch that Heidi was referring to, keeping Matt Olson at third. Riley was robbed of a base hit and an RBI. You could use some hits, especially with men in scoring position. He has really struggled.
Well, you look at the runners in scoring position and where the Braves ranked, third lowest. The big reason is because he's not getting his timing down. And when you look at this offense and when they're firing on all cylinders, he's the reason why they're knocking the cover off the ball. And he has a lot of chances with runners in scoring position. Over the last couple of seasons, he's been phenomenal at it.
The way he was going, you'd think that it's impossible for him to struggle. He just hits everything hard. He goes to the opposite field well. He's a good third baseman.
Just watching the Braves lineup, he was the one that made me nervous, especially with runners on, to be able to do damage. But it's a long season. I think he's going to be able to come around.
He was 7th in MVP voting 2 years ago and 6th last year.
See, that pitch last year is barreled. See, timing is everything. Swing just feels a little bit too long. Maybe the elbow tuck is just elongating the swing, but he's seeing the baseball very well, and that can be very frustrating for a hitter when you're seeing the baseball and you don't feel overmatched and you're just not getting the results you want.
Led the National League in total bases a year ago. He takes ball 3.
Yeah, that's a fastball center cut. You got to be able to put that ball in play, and so he even gives a big whew, I got to get that one.
Normally he would to right and right center field too. There he goes looking that way, but slicing that one foul. He had 38 homers last year, drove in 93, 33 and 107 the year before that. A lot of doubles too. He's really become a complete third baseman. However, so far this year hasn't quite been the same. So the 8th pitch of the at bat coming from Bryce Miller with a man on first. Riley again just looks off.
Miller does a good job of trying to execute that fastball up in the zone. Missed that one down, but I love his mound presence and his makeup, saying I still believe in my fastball even if I'm behind in the count.
Three and 2 again on Riley. Pop up over the infield. It's J.P. Crawford, the shortstop, retiring Riley. One away, and that's what Bryce Miller likes to do. Get a lot of pop-ups, a lot of fly ball outs.
And that plays, especially in Seattle, early on and late in the year. That ball does not fly. That's a very big outfield. But the term live low, live long is going to be key for Miller, because he's going to have to be able to change eye level with that fastball, and he was able to do that and get that out.
T-Mobile Park, one of the more pitcher-friendly ballparks in all of baseball, especially when it's cool. As Eddie Rosario lines one foul. Scott Servais saying to us before the game they've barely played in any sort of warm temperature. They've only had a couple of games above 60 degrees even, so it feels like summer here in Atlanta to them tonight.
I forgot how humid it was in the ATL. I said, as many games as I pitched up here, I was sweating in my suit. Thought I need some rosin.
Rosario swings through the high fastball, and it's no balls, 2 strikes. We're getting real spoiled in California.
We are. I like to say I'm Scottsdale soft in Arizona. Yeah. First world soft. But no, love playing here. I got to find some photos of me pitching in Atlanta. I look like Patrick Ewing in the 4th quarter.
Swing and a miss. Eddie Rosario chewed up by the high fastball of Bryce Miller.
Love that sequence and being able to go up there, and this is what you mean by ride. Rosario sees it. The fastball looks very enticing. He looks like he can get on top of it, but the ball just continues to take off right over the barrel.
Bryce Miller's spin rate, really that's elite level type spin rate for a fastball to get it above 2,600 with regularity. Here's Albies.
even at that velocity where you're thinking it's playing higher than 95, 96. It's almost like 98, 99 because of the spin rate and the ball staying true to the hitting zone.
Albies a switch hitter, really much better from the right side of the plate, but he insists on remaining a switch hitter. Batting left-handed here, he pops one toward the left field line. Kelenic goes over toward the side wall and runs out of room. Good effort on a long run by Kelenic.
Kelenic showing his athleticism on the defensive side, and that's why the Seattle Mariners front office faithful were so excited to see him finally establish himself, because with him and Julio in that outfield and Hernandez, these are three guys that are elite route runners that can cover a lot of ground.
So that list of pitchers who have given up the lowest slugging percentage on four-seam fastballs, they're all relievers except for Bryce Miller.
.44, 56 pitches so far from Miller have been four-seam fastballs. So, well, that's Texas. That's someone that believes in it and feels he's going to get a lot of soft contact and swing and miss with that fastball, especially at the top of the zone.
Albies with a roller to first, backhanded by Ty France as he backpedals to the bag. He ends the bottom of the fourth. Bryce Miller shaking off a first-inning run. He has kept it 1-0 through 4.
Also seen here on Apple TV Plus, top 3, Ryan Mountcastle with the 3-run shot, his 10th of the season. Baltimore 3-1 lead. Same score here in the bottom of the 4th, Wayne.
All right, LG, thank you very much. Here's Eugenio Suarez leading off the 5th against Bryce Elder as he takes ball 1. Suarez struck out on a very good changeup by Elder in the 2nd. They think Suarez is about to take off, though. Swings through the slider there. They believe he's made some adjustments mechanically that are going to get him going again. He had 31 homers last year, his first year with Seattle. He was well out in front of that pitch.
Not looking comfortable thus far with the adjustments, but they have to have him. I mean, he has 30 to 40 home run line in the lineup power. Obviously good defense as well, but they need him to have that balance and just buoy them. And especially with runners in scoring position, you need a thumper, especially a guy that has light tower power, and he does.
One of those home runs to beat Atlanta in a game last September, and he strikes out again as Bryce Elder punches him out with the fastball. So 5 strikeouts for Elder, 1 away in the 5th. On the Seattle bench tonight throughout the game while he's playing first base, Ty France is mic'd up. Get to hear some things that Ty has to say.
What's up, dude? How are you? Oh, fantastic. It's good to see you again. Edwin, how you doing? Good. Take it easy on us tonight, all right?
What's up, my brother?
How you doing?
Great year, bro.
Thank you. It's good to see you again. Last time I wore one, I got thrown out.
Well, very polite. I can't imagine him getting thrown out of a game.
No. It's all fun, and he's letting everybody know, hey, I'm mic'd up. So let's be cordial with each other. But no, he's known to be one of the good guys around the league, and obviously a talented ball player. I could never be mic'd up because a lot of unchoice words on the mound as I'm giving up a home run.
Raleigh pops it up, and Matt Olson makes the catch. I'm surprised you could even do this job.
barely. Yeah, my you know, it's a wonder that my key works week by week. So, well said. But love the game of baseball, and you saw it before the game, seeing everybody and just the energy.
Baseball loves you, that's for sure.
Everybody's got a cool D-Train story. Some I have to debate and explain.
2 out, nobody on as Teoscar Hernandez bats. Ground ball hit sharply and through, a base hit for Hernandez. So all the hits for the Mariners have been singles. They have not had a guy yet in scoring position against Bryce Elder.
Love the approach, though, by Hernandez, not trying to pull that baseball, staying in the center of the field. When you're facing somebody like Elder that has a good changeup and a sinker, if you try to do too much, if you try to be too big, it favors him to be able to get the hitter to be able to hit the ball on the ground.
So Hernandez is on. Taylor Trammell is the batter, struck out his first time. Braves were hoping Elder could give some length tonight. He's about to get through 5 innings here pretty quickly. He's gone 4 2/3 with only 53 pitches. You know, the Braves from start to start, they have a few guys that they can trust will be there every 5th day. Now, beyond that, it's kind of a jigsaw puzzle right now for Brian Snitker. They've got Strider, who's been very good. Charlie Morton continues to be consistent, and Elder has brought some stability. But after that, they're hoping Jared Schuster can figure it out, or Dylan Dodd, or maybe it's a bullpen game. Not exactly the kind of life you want to live if you're a big league manager, having to figure out almost day to day what the rotation is going to look like.
Well, Schuster is the key for me because, you know, he has to at least show the ability to be able to get through the lineup twice with the game intact. Also, with all these key injuries, we talked about Max Fried. Sometimes you just got to put the onus on the offense to be able to win a couple ball games and a couple slugfests. So, and be able to get the rotation to turn it over and get back to your horses.
We talked earlier about Soroka, who's slowly coming along. You know, they've already optioned Dylan Dodd back and forth a couple of times. And remember, there's that rule now that he could only do that a handful of times in a season. And it's only May, so if Dodd does come up to start again soon, well, then that's a 3rd time they've already brought him back and forth. Strike on the inside corner to Trammell. First time Elder's gone to a full count.
Soroka's the key. Him to be healthy, him to be confident and be able to throw strikes and really pitch to contact, because like Elder, he's a sinker baller. So, you know, that's all about rhythm, execution. You know, in AAA, that's very difficult to assess because everybody's swinging at everything in AAA. So, you know, I know he's got around a 5 ERA down there. All that matters is if he's healthy and he's able to get through the lineups.
3-2. Taylor Trammell whiffs on the changeup. Bryce Elder is in command tonight, giving a big lift to the Braves rotation. They have a 1-0 lead through 4.5. Bottom of the 5th in Atlanta at Truist Park. Marcell Ozuna, 2-time All-Star, Silver Slugger winner, got a nice contract going into the 2021 season. Then off the field problems certainly centered around Marcell Ozuna. Took him out for a while. He's back now. And he's had a good month of May as far as the way he swung the bat.
Well, that first month, he was one of the worst hitters in the history of baseball. You know, he had trouble squaring up and even putting any balls in play. And all of a sudden, he's turned back the clock and looked like those Marlin days where he was an all-star and starting to really square up some baseballs.
Ozuna after a rough start to the year, and you can see his numbers in the early part. Batting average under 100. Now he's hitting above 300 over the last couple of weeks. He's hit 6 home runs. Makes this lineup a whole lot longer when Ozuna's hitting.
Not talked about enough his strength physically to be able to turn on baseballs, and if he recognizes that slider mid-flight, he can get the launch angle going quickly.
Swings through the fastball from Bryce Miller, and that's one away as Miller has its 3rd strikeout. Right now we are going to pause here in the booth for a feature that we call Field Levels. We aim to give our viewers a taste of the ballpark. We're going to hear some of the sounds and just peek around as Orlando Arcia bats here against Bryce Miller. It's out, almost fouled out as Ty France, wearing his microphone, had that.
You put the rail here?
You know, right before that ball dropped down, he gave a little glance. I think he heard the footsteps of the railing. Threw him off a little bit.
A whole lot of foul territory here at Truist Park. As Michael Harris swings through the high fastball. And Miller has really settled in, had those 2 doubles against the first 2 batters, even a couple of other hard hit balls in the first inning, but he's tidied it up ever since.
Braves are 1 for 16 since those back-to-back doubles, and that shows me a lot about just his makeup and style of pitching.
Fields his position and a 1-2-3 bottom of the 5th inning. It is still 1-0 in favor of the Braves.
Bryce Elder has been absolutely outstanding. He's been efficient. I love that he moves the baseball all around the strike zone, but it's not just the sinker. The changeup is played, the breaking ball is played, the mound presence is there. Look, he looks like a 10-year veteran the way his mound presence is. And we're going to look at the StatCast, and he's getting guys not only to miss in the zone, but down in the zone as well. Live low, live long.
Bryce Elder delivers a strike to Jose Caballero. Elder has been fantastic. Miller's been good too. These 2 Bryces have lived up to the hype. Nasty pitch there as Caballero swings over it. Elder's not a rookie necessarily. He did have some time in the big leagues last year, but hasn't had a whole lot of big league time, and Miller's making his 4th major league start. In fact, today's Bryce Elder's birthday. He's 24 years old today.
Now he's going to have some a chocolate cake with yellow frosting at home waiting for him. He keep dealing like this.
Is that what Heidi ordered? It's Heidi's birthday too.
Happy birthday, Heidi. 21 years old.
Down the line, foul. Bryce Elder turning 24 today. And kid who was drafted in 2020, only a 5-round draft that year during the pandemic, and Elder was drafted in the 5th round. And he was lucky that he was drafted in the 5th round, because if he didn't get drafted, you could only sign up to $20,000 for whichever team you chose. But the Braves gave him $850,000 as a 5th round pick. So there's a big difference between going in the 5th round and not going at all.
Yeah, that's a lot of chips with dip. Especially in the 5th round.
Ground ball to short. We've had a whole lot of those so far tonight. Garcia throws out Caballero. There's the draft class. Spencer Strider was a 4th round pick. Schuster, who is still trying to put things together as a rookie this year, was their 1st round pick, but they've gotten a lot out of those 5 rounds.
You know, that's why the Braves have continued success. They draft well, they obviously develop well, and the communication between the minor leagues and the major leagues is critical for them, and so that's why you're able to call up guys like Elder and Strider, and they hit the ground running. They know the Braves way. They understand how to win at every level, and it's important because ultimately for you to win at the highest level, you have to have veterans and young talented ball players with contracts that you can control.
Strider had a little bit of a hiccup in his last start, but he has been outstanding so far this year. He has 86 strikeouts in 51 innings. He's developing into a true ace and one of the best pitchers in the National League.
He's a closer. This happens to start.
And he maintains that stuff. And in the 6th, 7th innings of games, he's still throwing the same way that he does early.
I don't believe just looking at his body type, he doesn't miss a leg day. Those squads are there. So, you know, your core, your legs are very important. Keep your mechanics the same.
Crawford lines one toward right center. Harris got a good jump, but he won't get there as he cuts it off on the warning track. Crawford heads for second, and that's a 1-out double. The first extra base hit for Seattle, and the first time they've had a man in scoring position.
Scott Service talks about the importance of J.P. Crawford and being the leader emotionally, you know, playing the music, getting everybody hyped up. Well, it's important for your leaders to be able to post and play well as well. So Elder making a mistake with the slider up in the zone. JP staying through it, squaring it up.
Crawford at second base. First time the Mariners have had a man get that far so far tonight. And here's Ty France, who lined out his last time. France has a 14-game hitting streak. It's the longest active streak in the majors as he fouls off the first pitch. Last Mariner to have a 15-game hitting streak was Mitch Haniger, who had a 17-game streak in 2018.
Elder's fastest pitch today was 91 miles an hour. Miller 97. So both talented, but doing it in different ways. Movement, command, throwing strikes.
And both doing it well tonight. This is a 1-0 game.
I knew this was going to be a good battle. I would have bought a ticket. I got it in for free, but I would have bought a ticket to watch this matchup.
It was dicey for a second, but we got in for free. Swing and a miss by Ty France on the sinker. This is where Elder has been even better in these spots. Runners in scoring position. Opponents have just 4 hits in 35 at bats against Elder this year.
Talking to Scott Service earlier today, this is a situation for the Seattle Mariners offense where they have to be able to step up and cash in. He feels like this is the difference, especially against the Rangers and the Angels and the Astros. When they get runners in scoring position, they have to have the right guys really post and get the job done.
That one skips away from Murphy, and Crawford takes third. So now the tying run on the doorstep as Elder throws a wild pitch.
Looked like a slider. He just held on, overcooked it. I like to call that the D-Train special. In the dirt, and it was really tough for Murphy to be able to backhand that and keep it in front of him.
So now the Braves bring their infield in with 1 out and a full count. France, it's a line drive towards center. Harris has a good arm. He makes the running catch. Here comes Crawford. Harris is thrown to the plate on the line. Is dead to rights. Michael Harris the second with an absolute seed. A running catch and a perfect throw to the plate to retire Crawford. Michael Harris, a Gold Glove candidate in center field with an incredible grab and throw for a double play to end the top of the 6th. How about that birthday present for Bryce Elder? It's still 1-0 Braves. One nothing Braves. That lead intact after Michael Harris threw out J.P. Crawford at the plate to end the top of the 6th inning. It's Acuna leading off the home half, taking a strike from Miller. Acuna has scored the only run tonight.
Just a heads-up play by Harris. He didn't even give himself time to set his feet. He just fired it on the run. Knew that Crawford can run, and it was a bang-bang play at home. And could be the Game 7 play. We'll see.
91 miles an hour on that throw home. Harris has touched to triple digits with his throws coming in from the outfield, so he has a strong arm. That was his 3rd outfield assist this year. And a few last year as well. You guys got to watch the replay, right?
Gots to. Gots to. Especially, you know, he's struggling offensively, but they're going to continue to trust him and run him out there, and I think he's going to get rhythm offensive, but the defense always shows up there, and again, an elite route runner.
Interesting looking at some of the defensive stats for these two teams, and in Acuna in particular, because the Braves don't rate very well in terms of outs above average, and neither does Acuna, but they rate well in defensive runs saved, as does Acuna. Too late on the fastball, and Bryce Miller looking awfully sharp here, strikes out Ronald Acuna. So 1 away. Here's Heidi.
Well, despite that, Ronald Acuna Jr. is pacing the field in the NL MVP race. He leads in nearly every offensive category, and a big reason he's feasting at the plate this season is because he's finally healthy and over that knee injury from 21. You talk to any hitter, and if they don't have full confidence and power in their back leg, they won't be able to drive the ball. As such, Acuna's mechanics suffered last year, and for a player who utilizes a lot of hip torque, it's not surprising that it took him this long to get right. But oh boy, is he right. He puts on a nightly laser show. Homered in 4 straight games heading into this one and 5 of his last 6. And, you know, he generally rakes at home, guys. He's still going to have at least another at-bat.
2 balls and a strike on Matt Olson. Ronald Acuna, when he got hurt in 2021, he was already putting together this type of season. He was already thinking about what an MVP year could look like when that injury came. He had 24 homers, 17 stolen bases. His OPS was right around 1,000 when he had that injury in the middle of the year in July of 2021.
It's the Ricky Henderson of the South. And so being able to factor in so many different ways is important.
Liner to left, right at Kelenic. And a hard hit out off the bat of Olson.
And being able to get over a knee injury, Achilles injury, really any injury, especially your lower half, yeah, you get back healthy, but the mental is the last hurdle. To trust yourself that you're going to be able to fire like you once was. And once he got comfortable, now you're seeing the fruits of that hard work and labor. And he understands, you know, his role in this city and in this organization that he can factor in. And they got a great team around him, but he's one of the best players in our sport, man, and he's fun to watch. And I just love that the next promo, I think they're giving some number 13 chains to all the fans and stuff like that. So, you know, he embodies the swagger of Atlanta.
And the 6th tool, the swagger tool. Talked about that in the open for these 5 tool players, Acuna and Julio Rodriguez. There's a great deal of that 6th tool, the swagger that they bring to the field.
It's important to have fun.
Guy at the plate right now as Murphy looks at a strike, who they call a no-nonsense warrior. That's the term that Kevin Seitzer, the Braves hitting coach, uses for Murphy. And kind of the opposite of Acuna in that regard. This is a guy who is straight-laced out there.
Well, for a locker room, you need balance, and it's important. You know, guys that put on the hard hat, not very flashy, just wants to go out there and do their job and really is selfless. And not to say that Acuna Jr. is selfish, it's just you need guys to have different personalities and be able to gel together for one common goal, and that's to win a World Series championship. And so, you know, I love Acuna Jr. You know, I had my hat to the side, I kicked my leg up, but, you know, I was the balance of the two. And anybody that played with me had known it's like, when it was my day to go out there, I was very serious, even though I was smiling on the field, because I wanted to win and I wanted to put my teammates in the best possible position to be successful.
Murphy with a fly ball right center field. Won't carry. Teoscar Hernandez is there. And Bryce Miller has retired 9 in a row. It's a 1-2-3, bottom of the 6th. Our Sage pitching decisions tonight as we take a look at the job that Bryce Elder has done, especially when he struck out Julio Rodriguez in the first.
Yeah, the pitch mix was there, the slider to slow him down, then the sinker to change his eyes, and then really get him to miss the pitch down and away. So being able to throw the ball inner half, finish guys chasing the ball away, Elder's been doing that outstanding job of that all night long.
Rodriguez with a bouncer foul here. Elder has not thrown a whole lot of pitches to get through 6 innings. It's the 6th time already in his major league career he's gone at least 6 innings without allowing a run. He's only thrown 76 pitches to get into the 7th. Who's the best Bryce? In the first ever Bryce versus Bryce matchup in Major League history.
Not disappointed us, especially on the mound, and 2 different ways of them being able to do that, and both have shown the ability to throw the ball inner half, and that's something that you want to see your young staff do. And so fun to see how both these guys work.
Mentioned this is the 4th major league start for Miller. It's only the 18th for Elder. In his first 17, an ERA of 2.39. It's the lowest in Atlanta franchise history to begin a career. Rodriguez sends one toward the gap in right center field. Hit well, good jump, but it's over the head of Acuna, and extra bases for Julio Rodriguez. He leads off the 7th with a double.
See how strong Julio Rodriguez is. That was an abbreviated half swing. Kind of understood that Elder was going to go back inner half. Elder makes a mistake with the sinker over the plate, and he was strong enough to just cut through that baseball, pull his hands through, kept his head down through the ball. It was impressive, and that's the one thing about him and Acuna Jr. They're athletic, but their strength, being able to muscle balls off the wall and over them, is elite.
So Rodriguez is on to start the 7th inning. Seattle had an extra base hit in the 6th. J.P. Crawford was thrown out at home by Michael Harris. Here's Kelenic. And a base hit his last time. Looks like the Atlanta bullpen is starting to get working behind Elder. And this is in the dirt here to Kelenic. Kelenic had such a hard time adjusting to the big leagues. Basically a full season's worth of at-bats over the last few seasons at the major league level, and hit just 168. He's been much better this year as he fouls one off, and it's 2 balls and a strike.
Just really looks like the leg kick timing is on time, and so he's able to cover the velocity and stay back from off speed as well, and I think that's key for him. Also hitting the ball the other way is something I've seen him do of late, so this looks more comfortable.
Well, more comfortable, and the Mariners, they're having a lot of fun this season. We've seen the home run trident in games they hit home runs, but another one of their fun little traditions is the clubhouse chanting "Happy Jared" after games, and I apologize for the singing voice, guys, but when Jarred Kelenic does something good, they chant that to him. And I asked Jared about it. He said, well, it's because he's got a more positive mentality and he's trying to bring that to the clubhouse this year. But I asked some of his teammates and they said, well, he walks around with a scowl sometimes because he takes the game so seriously that they like to see him smile, so they started chanting it for him. Either way, guys, I like the positive vibes in their clubhouse.
Well, good vibes only. That's what Eugenio Suarez likes to say in that Seattle clubhouse. And Kelnic's bought in. He takes ball 4, and on that play, Rodriguez goes to third. A wild pitch puts runners on the corners. Seattle threatening with nobody out.
I think J-Rod taking advantage. Lulled us all to sleep and take the extra base, but Kelenic's the big guy in this trade, especially with Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz going to the New York Mets. He was the guy. He was the high-level prospect. He was the jewel of that trade, and so having the struggles, it's like, oh no, maybe we whiffed on this trade. He says, no, give me a chance to settle in. I'm still a young man and refine my swing, but really to settle in being a big leaguer. I think that's important. So, you know, I think last year he strikes out in this key situation. Now he understands how pitchers are going to attack him, and he covers all the pitches. And if it's not there, trust the next guy behind you, because sometimes as young players, we want to do everything and be impactful every single night, and pitchers use our aggression against us.
Robinson Cano didn't give much to the Mets during that time. They were lucky that Edwin Diaz did develop into one of the best closers in all of baseball. Of course, Diaz out this year with an injury. So they've gotten something back, but there was a lot of heat about trading Kelenic at the time in New York. Kelenic starting to get there. He's got Rodriguez in front of him at third. Here's Eugenio Suarez taking ball 1. Colin McHugh is warming up in the Braves bullpen as things get dicey for Atlanta here in the 7th. Suarez has struck out a couple of times today. He rocks this ball to left field. That's a base hit. Julio Rodriguez scores the tying run. Kelenic ends up at second, and Eugenio Suarez ties it up. It's 1 apiece.
While you have Suarez in that lineup, especially with runners in scoring position, and we talked about missed opportunities, and it seems like the Mariners had a ton of missed opportunities so far in this season, and all of a sudden he finally gets a fastball center cut and does not miss it. It's a miss to the left field. Elder just losing command. Third time through the lineup, he's been so efficient, and now all of a sudden, fighting them, starting to square up baseballs and really just putting themselves in hitter-friendly counts. You know, Elder was so efficient, strike 1, strike 2, and then all of a sudden, 2-1 counts, 3-1 counts start going, and then all of a sudden, it's a different lineup, different mentality.
Elder leaves to a nice hand on his birthday. The game is tied, and Colin McHugh will come in for Atlanta to try to keep it that way. Bryce Elder's birthday start was pretty good. 6 innings he worked tonight, and then into the 7th, things got a little rough. A double to Rodriguez, a walk and a base hit. The Mariners have scored, and now it's Colin McHugh in the game. Delivering ball one to Cal Raleigh as the Mariners have runners on first and second. Nobody out with a run home.
McHugh, the veteran right-hander, the guy that they go to, the glue guy as far as the bullpen, but he struggled of late, giving up 7 runs over his last 8 2/3 inning.
Raleigh drives one in the air pretty deep to right. Acuna goes all the way back to the wall. Acuna leaps and he makes the catch. What a play by Acuna. Kelenic goes to third, tagging up. Ronald Acuna Jr. shows some mad hops.
This is the gamer. This is the gamer. He glanced at the wall. He glanced at the ball. He knew how much time and how much room he had. He timed that jump perfectly. And we've been talking about this all game. Some athletes on this field today. These guys can go get the baseball with the best of them. And I love that. Even looked away. Did the no-look catch, Wayne. Chains bouncing all in his face. And that's why fans here love him.
It was like the Jordan pose as he climbed that wall in right field. What a play by Acuna. Talked earlier about his outs above average. Well, I think he got one back in his favor there. That was a great play. Now men on the corners, one out. And a swing and a tip into the catcher's glove by Teoscar Hernandez. Sold out crowd here tonight at Truist Park, 40,412. Appreciating that play by Acuna and hoping McHugh can keep this game tied.
It's a beautiful atmosphere, beautiful ballpark, and this feels like postseason baseball to me. You know what I mean? Both starters are dealing. Timely base hits, great defense on both sides. It's been a fun game to be a part of.
Teoscar Hernandez strikes out a lot. That's what the Braves are hoping happens here. With McHugh on the mound and 2 strikes, Hernandez makes some contact to stay alive.
Oh man, I got a lot of friends that are hitters. Can't stand when they spoil a good pitch like that with that type of effort. Q might try to want to change eye level or velocity. He's gone a lot with the slider and he loves that slider, but sometimes you need to throw a wrinkle in the velocity or move the location.
No balls and 2 strikes on Teoscar Hernandez. And again, he spoils a good pitch at home plate.
Hernandez starting to get the timing of that slider down and also the depth change. And so who's going to win the battle, not only mentally, but physically? And Q staying with that slider, feeling like he's going to either get him to swing or miss or hit that ball on the ground and get a chance for a double play.
Q has gotten some big outs for the Braves, looking for one here. And Hernandez lines one to right, a base hit. Seattle takes the lead. Kelenic scores. Teoscar Hernandez drives in a run. And the Mariners are up 2-1.
Hernandez and Suarez, both of those guys that the Seattle Mariners need to be able to start posting and help score runs at the bottom of the lineup, have shown up in Atlanta thus far. Love this mentality. Finally got the fastball that he wanted, stayed inside that baseball and hit it the other way. When you're struggling at the plate, and I know it's easier said than done, everybody throws 100 miles an hour, it's very difficult to hit a baseball, but the mentality is use the whole field.
We talked about the struggles of McHugh. He's given up a lot of hits. Righties have hit almost 400 against Colin McHugh so far this year. It's Teoscar Hernandez giving the Mariners the lead. Those runs charged to Bryce Elder, who's now on the losing side of this one. After being ahead all night after the Braves scored a run in the first, Elder went through the first 6 innings without giving up a run. The Mariners have 2 on 3 hits here in the 7th. Taylor Trammell with a pop-up into foul territory and out of play. Trammell has struck out a couple of times. Trammell, when he gets a hit, it's usually a long one.
Combination of speed and power, and it is hoping that the strike zone awareness gets a little better for him.
He's a Georgia native. He was going to go to Georgia Tech had he not signed to play pro ball with the Cincinnati Reds. He was a two-sport star at high school in Kennesaw, Georgia. Ground ball to the right side. Albies flips it to second for one. Arcia to first in time. A double play. The Mariners take the lead despite an outstanding play by Ronald Acuna Jr. Scott Servais wanted to see if they have a case for a replay review. And they do not. So a two-run top of the seventh for Seattle. RBI singles by Eugenio Suarez and Teoscar Hernandez. Could have been a lot more had Acuna not scaled the wall in right and made that tremendous catch. The Mariners, though, are in front. It's 2-1. MLBshop.com. Check out the largest selection of authentic caps, t-shirts, collectibles, and more. You're up with your favorite team at MLBshop.com. Bottom of the seventh inning at a sold-out Truist Park tonight. We have seen quite a game. A lot of great defensive plays in this one, including Ronald Acuna's catch in the top of the seventh, which prevented a big inning from getting bigger. The Mariners scored 2 to take the lead, but could have had more.
Just love his focus on that. He never seemed like he panicked, didn't give up on the ball and tried to play it off the wall. He understood it's late in the ball game. I got a chance to make a good play, keep the game intact.
Austin Riley leading off. Swings through the high fastball from Miller, who is still every bit as sharp as he's been throughout the night.
Miller got them young legs. The third time through the lineup, and the velocity is still there, the execution, and he's smelling that he's going to be able to settle in and try to win his ball game himself. Riley
climbing the ladder on that high fastball, fouls it off. Riley, Rosario, Albies due up here in the bottom of the seventh inning. The Braves have only had one hit since they started the game with back-to-back doubles. It was Sean Murphy who singled in the fourth inning. That's the only base runner they've had since Matt Olson's RBI double in the first. .90 pitches, the first time Miller has gone that high. Trevor Gott is warming up in the Seattle bullpen. Riley's 0 for 2. He's lined out to the second baseman Caballero, who made a leaping catch in the first inning. Seattle made a couple of nice plays in that first inning that saved at least one run. The defense has certainly sparkled on both sides tonight. Riley lays off the high heater, and it's 3 balls 2 strikes.
This last battle between Austin Riley and Bryce Miller, a lot of pitches being thrown, so you knew this time it was going to be the same.
Riley hits it hard. Suarez can't pick it, and the Braves have their leadoff man on. By and large, it's been a well-played defensive game in this one, especially on the Atlanta side. Matt Olson with a nice scoop and a flip with the glove hand there. Braves have turned 3 double plays in this game. Bryce Elder went behind his back. Here's one of the double plays with Michael Harris's throw to the plate to retire Crawford. And here's the play by Acuna up against the wall.
Well, athleticism plays, and they trust each other. They're going to make aggressive plays, and you know, the key of winning is this playing clean, and that's why Suarez is trying to take this on the good hop, gets caught in between the hop, and that ball just ate him up. And so the ball was hit so hard that he didn't have time to get in front of that and get his body in front of it. So that was the only play he seemed to have, and might be a critical error.
Suarez unable to make that play. Riley is given a base hit. A familiar sound here at Truist Park.
I know this sound oh too well.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Here's Rosario. Swing and a miss on the fastball up.
Rosario tried to leave earth with that swing. It's
0-2.
75 four-seamers. His previous high was 60. So Miller is going and sticking to his bread and butter, and that's the four-seam fastball up in the zone. Continues to get swing and miss with that ride, which is impressive to me. That tells me not only arm strength, but leg strength to be able to continue that velocity and drive it to the target.
Ground ball to the right side. Backhand by Caballero. Gets it out at second. Crawford's throw to first a little high. Rosario reaches on a fielder's choice. Caballero getting the out on Riley at second base, 4-6.
Caballero had a tough time getting the ball out of his mitt to get it to J.P. Crawford, and Crawford had to rush the throw. I think Caballero didn't know if he was going to backhand it or be forehanded with that ball. Kind of stutter stepped, and nice turn by J.P., but this didn't have enough of the throw and to be able to get it on target.
One out. Ozzie Albies the batter. Remember, the Mariners have a very good bullpen, the lowest bullpen ERA in the major leagues entering tonight. Helps them win a lot of close games, although this year, despite that, they really haven't. They've gone 4-11 in one-run games so far this year. Bouncer to first and foul down the line from Albies. Make a play.
You know that. You know this style of the way the Braves have been playing and defending all day. You know, that boy down the line got to scoop that play up.
Bryce Miller has thrown a lot of fastballs tonight. He's thrown the 76 fastest pitches in this game. throws a lot harder than Bryce Elder. A different style of pitching, as we've talked about. Miller relies on these high ride four-seam fastballs, hoping to get a lot of vertical movement. He really throws a lot like Spencer Strider.
Yes. For that ball, this has the effect of just staying true to the zone. Basically, if the mound was 70 feet 6 inches, it would still be the same level to the strike zone, and that's strength and carry.
The Mariners are hoping that he does turn into their version of Strider. Had a very strong rookie season last year and has been even better this year. This will be the 100th pitch for Bryce Miller. On 2-1 to Ozzie Albies. Ball. It's ball 3.
See, as a starting pitcher, when you get late in the ball games, yes, you're physically fatigued, but you're also mentally fatigued. And so I think this is starting to settle in. And so you have to really dig deep, and your manager has to be able to trust you to be able to navigate the lineup.
Albies fouls one away, and now it's a full count. Bryce Miller has navigated the Braves lineup just fine. He's allowed a run on 4 hits in 6 1/3 innings. This was going to be his toughest test against an Atlanta club that has picked apart rookie pitchers this year. Now Miller has passed the test regardless of how this inning ends. Ball 4 to Albies. Miller walks the batter for the first time tonight. Some traffic on the bases and the bullpen ready to go. Scott Service makes his way to the mound. Well, the two Bryces were very impressive tonight. Bryce Elder worked 6+ innings and allowed 2 runs. Miller leaves after 6 1/3 with a 2-1 lead. It's up to the Mariners bullpen to hold it for him. We'll be back in Atlanta. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Brett Boone was a pretty good Seattle Mariner, made his way through Atlanta. How about Gaylord Perry, the Hall of Famer, a 300-game winner? Spent some time with both clubs and a whole lot of clubs in his major league career. Bryce Miller in his 4th major league start, pretty good against a very strong hitting Braves lineup. Now he's hoping the best bullpen in baseball can keep the lead for him as Trevor Gott delivers strike 1 to Marcell Ozuna.
Yeah, Trevor Gott throws strikes all day long, walked only 5 batters his last 86. So he's going to be able to attack in the zone, and has a different arm angle as far as the fastball and slider.
Good cut by Ozuna against Gott, who has not allowed a home run all year so far. Gott has worked in 21 1/3 innings without giving up a homer, facing 95 batters, the 6th most in the majors without allowing a home run so far this season. And all the Mariners fans are saying I jinxed him, but I didn't. That's not real.
Well. Well, yeah. We'll talk about it on the way home. Talk about that.
Ozuna certainly capable of hitting one out. He has struck out both of his plate appearances so far tonight. He loops this one over first. France isn't going to get it. That's going to fall. That's a base hit. Around third, Rosario scores the tying run. Albies ends up at third. Marcell Ozuna makes it 2-2 with an RBI single to right.
He muscled that fastball off his knuckles, and he knew that ball was down. God knew that ball was down right off the bat, and it just landed in no man's land, and that's what this Braves lineup does. They do not go away, and then when the crowd gets involved, the chalk get involved, this is a different monster down here as far as winning ball games in Atlanta. In my experience, this is very difficult. If you don't have that shut down swing and miss bullpen, it's going to be hard.
So now the batter Arcia, he hits a fly ball to right center field. This is pretty deep. Hernandez back looking up. It's off the wall. The Braves take the lead as Albies scores. Ozuna ends up at third. It's a long single for Arcia, and it's 3-2 Atlanta.
You see what I mean? 2 pitches, and the Mariners come in with one of the best, if not the best bullpen in all of baseball. They set themselves up. Miller sets them up, and then all of a sudden, 3-4 pitches later, they're down because the lineup depth for the lineup Braves is just too much. Arcia gets a pitch over and stood up on him, thinking that ball was gone, but he knew it was trouble, at least off the wall.
Well played off the wall by Hernandez. Arcia, by staring at that ball, cost himself a chance of being at second base. That could loom large here, with the double play still intact and the batter Michael Harris.
Yeah, I think he squared that baseball up and had that feeling that was at least gone, and then all of a sudden, well played by Hernandez to be able to get that ball back in the infield and keep the double play intact.
We talked earlier about the Braves' struggles with runners in scoring position. Well, tonight they're 3 for 5. They have the lead again. It's 3-2. It's a nail biter for sure here in Atlanta. The Braves on top for the moment.
Harris and Austin Riley seem to be in the same boat for me. I think they recognize the pitch and they don't feel overmatched, but it's just the barrel is just not getting on top of the baseball like they want to be able to allow themselves to put the ball in play more often.
Swing and a miss. Harris strikes out, a big out for Trevor Gott. 2 away, and that brings up Acuna.
Really good backdoor slider, especially throwing 2 fastballs, and Harris just doesn't see it until the last minute and tries to fight that ball off to give himself another pitch to look at, but well executed by Gott right there.
Gott gives up the lead. Back-to-back hits when he entered put Atlanta on top. He strikes out Harris, but he's coming out of the game. A new pitcher will enter. It's Justin Topa to face Ronald Acuna. Truist Park. Each team has scored 2 runs in this inning, and the Braves have reclaimed the lead. Justin Topa enters. He's been fabulous for Seattle. A tough task here facing Acuna as the Braves try to add to the lead.
Yeah, Topa coming in with his sinker anywhere from 94 to 96 miles an hour. The slider, I think, is his best pitch, and he's going to need it against this hot hitter, Acuna Jr.
Topa with just a 1.06 ERA to start the year. Here's Acuna with men on first and third. Ball 1 on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Topa had been with the Brewers, traded to Seattle. He's been one of the replacements for Eric Swanson, who was dealt to the Blue Jays for Teoscar Hernandez. It's the top of the zone there to Acuna.
Topa's arm angle is causing Acuna Jr. to be able to bail out just to try to figure out that arm angle and release point.
Swing and a miss. That one got down and in on Acuna.
Ooh, check that ball. Ball ain't supposed to move like that. Oh my goodness. Oh man, that looked like Kevin Brown right there. You remember Kevin Brown?
Oh yeah.
Good job by Acuna Jr. being able to fight off that nasty pitch, especially with that velocity. And it opens up things, especially for Topa if he wants to throw the sweeping slider, something falling away from Acuna Jr.
Ron Washington shows off the good fundies in the third base coach's box. If you teach him, you got to have them yourself.
Nobody better. Nobody better. Got a chance to talk to him, and the first time I met him, and I'm from Oakland, California, and I said, man, you're a hero to a lot of different people, and how impactful he's been to a lot of people that are good in the game of baseball.
Acuna with a bouncer to short. Crawford takes the out at second. Caballero had to stretch for the throw a bit, but he gets it. And the inning is over. The Braves have the lead back. Back-to-back RBI singles and put Atlanta back on top. It's 3-2 after 7. Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus is sponsored in part by MLB The Show 23, available on PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch systems, rated E for everyone. Good game in Atlanta. It's 3-2 Braves in the 8th. New pitcher is former Tampa Bay Ray Nick Anderson.
Big time arm coming out of the bullpen. Fastball anywhere from 95 to 97 miles an hour.
And an extreme strike thrower as he gets Caballero to swing and miss. And dating back to 2019, and granted he hasn't been healthy a lot of that time.
Right.
Barely any walks compared to a whole lot of strikeouts for Anderson. This one will get out of play. 3 walks, 21 strikeouts this year. Had 3 walks with 26 strikeouts in 2020. And when he got to the Rays in 2019, he had 2 walks with 41 strikeouts.
Just a reliable arm in a big situation, especially he could be one of your plus guys that you trust to be able to throw strikes and force the opposition to really put together good at bats. And you know, you throw strikes and you have the stuff to go with it. That's a lot of success.
Swing and a miss. High fastball strikes out Caballero.
Yeah, Topa went with the sinker and just kept moving that sinker closer and closer to Acuna Jr. You have to do that because once his arms get extended, he can have that power. So really, really good sequence for Topa. Never got off that sinker, and that's a real good pitch for him.
Fly ball toward the left field line. Long run. Wow. Making the catch, Rosario.
They're feeling good tonight, Wayne. They're feeling really good out there in that outfield. We've seen some really good routes on both sides, and I thought that ball was going to be down off the bat. And Rosario hustling over there and stealing another big out. Even the bat boy getting up and saying, "You got room, big dog. I got you back."
So 2 up, 2 down. Nick Anderson applauds that effort from Eddie Rosario, and the batter is Ty France, 0 for 3 tonight, riding a 14-game hitting streak. Grounds it to short. Orlando Arcia has it very quick for Nick Anderson. 5 pitches and a 1-2-3, top of the 8th.
Cause we moving in, yeah. This time I came with friends, yeah. With my team we aim to win, yeah. Right now the show begins. It's time to go right now, get ready.
we've been treated to a fun game here at Truist Park tonight. The Braves lead the Mariners 3-2. And we saw this matchup. You know, these two teams interleague play. They don't see each other a lot. It's the first time the Mariners have been here in Atlanta in 6 years. But they kind of match up in a way where you thought we'd probably see a pretty good one tonight, and it has been.
Both have talent on both sides. Obviously, they have the stars in Julio Rodriguez and Acuna Jr. And I think both managers are very talented as well. And you've already seen how both sides can flex their muscle and how they can win ball games. You saw the lineup depth. You thought this game was going to get out of hand early, though, especially at the top of the lineup.
Fly ball to right off the bat of Matt Olson. That is gone.
Mateo getting his foot down. Knew that he had a mistake in that inner heart. Just dropped the barrel and went to the chop house and got some sides, right? Because when he's locked in, the sound is different off his bat. And I've seen it many times in the Oakland uniform, and they've been really, really impressed of how the type of teammate he is, and obviously the power and the defensive metrics as well.
12th homer for Olson leads the Braves. The first one allowed by Topa this year. The Mariners did have Taylor Saucedo up in their bullpen. They elected to send Topa back out. Now a line drive base hit for Sean Murphy.
No nonsense Murphy. Muscling up a ball at the back, but lefty. That's what we call a nitro zone, where the cement mixer and all the left-handed batter of Olson has to do is drop the barrel down, and he knew that was trouble right off the bat.
Here's Austin Riley. He looks at his strike. The Braves certainly love the long ball. They hit a lot of home runs. They already have 4 players that have reached 10 homers this year. Olson has the most with 12. Ground ball, base hit to left. So Topa here in the 8th has a lot of homer and 2 well-struck singles.
Yeah.
MLB.tv is 50% off for a limited time only. Stream every out-of-market game on your favorite supported devices. Visit MLB.tv for details. Well, Scott Servais will go back to his bullpen and try to keep the Mariners in this one. It's the bottom of the 8th. Justin Topa's allowed a home run and 2 singles. Saucedo will face Rosario in just a moment. The Atlanta Braves really struggled the last couple of seasons early in the year. In 2021, didn't get really going until August. And last year was once the month of June rolled around, but the Braves started to overcome a 10.5 game deficit in the National League East against the New York Mets. They won 101 games last year to do that. They won the World Series 2 years ago, and now they're the team that's in front early in the year as Atlanta tries to get to 12 games above 500 with a win tonight. And Taylor Saucedo is the new pitcher for the Mariners. Asked Brian Snitker before the game today if it's any different being the one being chased instead of being the chaser, and he said not really.
They stay focused. You know, they just worry about today and putting themselves in the best possible position to be successful. And I love that he just kept it really simple, and I thought the answer was very sincere and genuine. Like, no, we don't get worried about that. You know, we'll start scoreboard watching if we need to in August, but right now we just need to continue to try to get back to being healthy and at full strength and just playing good baseball with the guys that are.
The pitch by Saucedo, a changeup to get a swing and a miss from Kevin Pillar, the veteran batting for Eddie Rosario, and he'll stay in to play the outfield for the top of the 9th. Kevin Pillar had a very scary moment in this ballpark when he was with the New York Mets. Got hit in the face by a pitch. The Mets basically had to wrestle him to keep him out of the lineup the next day. His face was completely flattened by that fastball. He was bruised up. His nose was bandaged, and he said he wanted to come back and play. The Mets said maybe just take a week or 2 off.
You know, but that's the type of ball player he is, and I got a chance to talk to him and get to know him in the Dodger organization, and how many times have you seen countless plays of him giving himself up, his body up to make the play. That's been his calling card since he's been in the big leagues.
Lifts a fly ball to right field. Hernandez makes the catch, and holding at second is Murphy, as that's the first out of the inning. So that'll bring up Albies, who walked and scored in his last plate appearance. This is Albies' natural side, his better side, the right side. He's a career .337 batter, hitting right-handed. This year batting .439 from the right side.
Almost reminds me of Luis Castillo, Marlins and Mets second baseman. His majority of his bats obviously is on the left-hand side, but his power side was on the right-hand side, and so for Albies, this is a side where he looks to really charge at the baseball.
Albies, one of the 4 Braves that has already hit 10 home runs this year. He hit 30 a couple of years ago. Statcast powered by Google Cloud, as we see the homers for Albies, way fewer at bats, but just as many right-handed as left-handed.
Yeah, so I think the leg trained your eyes a little bit better sometimes, even though you switch hit. And so his approach, his hands are different on the right side as opposed to the left-hand side. They're a little bit higher. Looks like he's just trying to put the ball in play.
Loops this ball towards center field. That's a base hit. Murphy had to wait to see if that would go through. He stops at third as Julio Rodriguez quickly gets it in. A base hit for Albies. The Braves have the bases loaded, trying to bust this game open here in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, Albies staying with that changeup. Saw one earlier in the count. Rolled over on it a little bit, but then this time he stays in the center of the field and just hits the baseball right back up the box, and that's good big league hitting right there at his finest. Murphy had to stop and freeze, make sure that ball went through, almost turned himself around the wrong way, and didn't have a chance to score because the ball was hit too hard.
So here's Ozuna. He loops one to left field. That's going to get down a base hit. Murphy scores. Right behind him on his way home is Riley. Throw to the plate. Riley is safe. Albies ends up at third. Marcell Ozuna's driven in 3, and the Braves are up by 4.
Yeah, this lineup is starting to turn up, and it's the bottom of the lineup, and this is how much depth this Atlanta Braves team has. And so when you're able to turn over the lineup constantly and give Olson and Acuna Jr. 4 or 5 at-bats a game, it favors the Braves. But Ozuna just is feeling it right now. He's being aggressive early in the count, and it doesn't matter what pitch you're throwing, whether it be breaking ball or a fastball. He just seems to be on time right now. So they're athletic, they're having fun, and getting Atlanta rocking. Nice slide.
Brings up Arcia, had the go-ahead hit in the 7th. He takes a strike from Saucedo, and the Seattle bullpen has had a rare blow-up tonight. They've allowed 3 runs plus 2 inherited runners to score. So 5 of the 6 Atlanta runs that have come across have scored while a Mariner reliever has been in the game.
Yeah, you know, and it's our job on the mound to be able to get outs, but I think Scott Servais is going to look at this tonight and be like, you know, I could have put my guys in a little better matchups, you know, but when you're trying to bridge outs and set it up, sometimes you wait a little too long and all of a sudden the game gets away from you.
Arcia strikes out. It's the second out here in the 8th inning. Music playing us a little future for Michael Harris.
Yeah, only fitting when we're in ATL, home of the talented rapper. Only fitting, only fitting.
We talked about it earlier, how much the Braves bring players in from the area. It's really a homegrown team in many ways, not just the way they develop within the system and keep guys around, but keep guys from the area around. There's another one, Matt Olson.
You know, I love the Oakland Athletics. I'm from outside Oakland. these kids have loved the Braves. You know, they all talk about coming to Braves games and the Braves as an organization instilling the love of baseball. So, you know, this is their dream to be able to represent the A.
Harris bounces to Caballero to win the 8th, but 3 more runs for the Atlanta Braves. Matt Olson got the party started with a home run. Marcell Ozuna with a 2-run single. Olson blasting his 12th as Atlanta got some insurance, and the Braves carry a 4-run lead into the 9th. After pinch hitting for Eddie Rosario in the bottom of the 8th inning. Not a safe situation anymore, but the Braves still give their closer an inning here. Raisel Iglesias spent a good chunk of time on the injured list. He's back now and pitching at the ends of games for the Braves. He was spectacular after the Braves got him last year from the Angels.
And I can't believe they got him from your Angels, especially the year that he was having for him. But a really, really big component. Guy just had a ton of experience closing ball games, and they're going to need him down the home stretch.
Slow roller hit to short. Arcia rushes it to first to retire Julio Rodriguez. One out brings up Kelenic, who has a base hit, a walk, and a run scored tonight. This was a very tight game until the Braves blew it open a little bit in the bottom of the 8th inning. A lot of scoring against the Seattle bullpen, which you don't often see. I'm sure this will be a pretty entertaining series. Logan Gilbert starting for Seattle tomorrow and George Kirby on Sunday. The Braves have not named a starter yet for tomorrow. Probably going to be a bullpen game. The expectation was if Elder gave them some length, they would just work through their pen tomorrow.
Well, that's why it was critical for Elder to be able to get some length and settle in and really shorten up the ball game, because if you know you have a bullpen game on the horizon, you don't want to deplete those guys, especially against this Mariner lineup that still has a lot of talent in it. So definitely don't want to put anybody in a tough situation where they're throwing 30-plus pitches in an inning, risk injury.
Jared Schuster expected to start on Sunday against Seattle.
Schuster being your number 4 guy, number 5 guy, so you definitely need your bullpen arms to be fresh for the next couple days.
Kelenic swings through the fastball from Iglesias. Chopper to the right side, handled by Albies. Couple of groundouts for Iglesias to start the 9th. Julio Rodriguez grounding out to start the inning, but we noticed the hustle here late in the game.
It's important. It sends a message to the locker room. Regardless of how I'm playing, I'm still going to give my all, so I expect the rest of the locker room to do the same. So love that. Even though he's scuffling, he's still setting the tone for his ball club.
Strike 1 to Suarez, who had an RBI single in the 7th. It was in the 7th inning when Seattle briefly had the lead, thanks to a Suarez base hit that tied it and a Teoscar Hernandez single that put them ahead. The bullpen coughed it up. The Braves scored 2 in the 7th, 3 in the 8th, and they are a strike away from a win tonight. One ball, 2 strikes now on Suarez.
And dropped down the arm angle. One little Dennis Eckersley.
Iglesias looked like Eckersley at the end of last year. Gave up almost nothing in the final 2 months of the season. Swing and a miss. The Atlanta Braves with 2 runs in the 7th and 3 in the 8th. Knock off the Seattle Mariners tonight. 6-2 the final at Truist Park. The Braves offense thumped their way late against a very good Seattle bullpen.
And that's the narrative of the game. Both of the starters were talented today. I love what I saw from the young guns today, but when you're able to get to the best bullpen in baseball, especially in your house, it set the tone. And it was the bottom of the lineup. Yes, Matt Olson got his foot down and squared up some baseballs, but it was the bottom of the lineup with Julian Company that really turned over the lineup and got some big hits. And that's why they're shaking hands right now.
Marcell Ozuna drove in 3 runs in this game. Matt Olson had a couple of RBIs as well. Olson had an RBI double in the first inning, and he hit a homer in the 8th to provide Atlanta some insurance. We saw 2 very young, very good starting pitchers named Bryce tonight.
Yeah, they stepped up, and as advertised, both threw strikes. Both had different methods, but I thought they were very aggressive, especially once they settled in. I love the sequence from both of them. The future is bright if you keep both those young men healthy, especially in their respective rotations.
Bryce Miller does suffer his first big league loss tonight. Atlanta now 12 games above 500, and 12 is the number for Matt Olson. Hit his 12th home run tonight. He's standing by with Heidi Watney.
Matt, you got a couple of hits, including your 12th home run of the season. But what I want to know about the first hit, you're facing a guy with an electric fastball in Bryce Miller. You guys jumped right on him. What was your approach there?
Yeah, first time seeing him, obviously seeing his stuff. You know, he gets a lot of late swings and a lot of underswings on his fastball, so you really got to try to get on top of it. Left one, a little down in the zone. I was able to get up to it.
There's been a lot of talk about the slow start to the season for you. Having a night like tonight, how much does that help?
Yeah, it's good. You know, it's a long season. It's a process. It's not always going to come out perfect, and you got to take it day by day, as cliche as it sounds, and just put your head down and look up at the end.
What's it like hitting behind a guy like Ronald Acuna Jr., especially with what he's doing this year?
I got the best seat in the house to it. It's been amazing. Last year was awesome. He's even stepped it up this year from last year, too. It's really fun to watch. He's electric on the bases once he gets on, and hell of a player.
On the other side, Bryce Elder has been great for you guys. It's his birthday tonight. What do you see playing behind him?
It's somebody who keeps you involved. He's filling up the zone, gets a lot of ground balls, so it's easy as a defense to play behind him. Somebody who was kind of up and down last year. Every time he came up, he produced, had good starts. It's nice for him to kind of settle in and be firm in that rotation and go give us good starts every 5th day.
Thanks, Matt. Nice job tonight.
Thank you.
Back to you, Win.
All right, Heidi, thank you very much. Matt Olson, one of the stars of the Atlanta Braves tonight as they defeat the Seattle Mariners at Truist Park, a 6-2 final in Atlanta this evening. Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus returns next week with another doubleheader. It's a 1998 World Series rematch. The Padres take on the Yankees, and the White Sox will visit the Tigers in an AL Central battle. Pre-game coverage for both games begins at 6:30 p.m. Eastern next week. For Dontrelle Willis and the birthday girl Heidi Watney, I'm Wayne Randazzo. Stay tuned for Friday Night Baseball post-game coverage coming up from the studio. The Braves beat the Mariners tonight 6-2 in Atlanta. We'll talk to you again next week.